Don't play with it, don't play with it, don't play with it. Don't play with it.
Hey everybody, it's your girl Shy here, and yes, I am back with another video, y'all. So as you guys see by the thumbnail and the title, we're going to be doing episodes 3, 4, and 5 of the Baddies Africa recap, y'all. So I'm going to be doing 3, 4, and 5. I'm going to merge it all together. I have my notes, as you guys already know. Y'all know how I get down with the notes and stuff, so I came prepared because I had a lot to catch up on. Yes, I did catch up on all the episodes, and I watched episode 6, y'all. So for this video right here, we're going to be doing 3, 4, and 5 merged together, and I decided to do for this specific recap, I decided to do like, you know, doing the ladies individually, like a little brief summary of like what my take is, I guess, about that person that's being shown on the screen. It was a lot that was going on. I'm not even gonna hold you. Some of the ladies disappointed me. Even some of the OGs kind of like are disappointing me this season. I'm just like, yeah, we gotta get into it, y'all. Enough of the rambling. We're just gonna jump straight into it, y'all, because a lot has happened. And I know I say that every episode. I know this fact, y'all. A lot has happened, especially now I'm doing 3, 4, and 5. I had to catch up, really dive deep into it, really get to the nitty gritty. And y'all, we got a lot to catch up on. So let's go, y'all. But before we do, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to your girl's channel. And as always, put on that post notification bell so that way you are notified every time your girl posts another video just like this one, y'all. And I will. So stay tuned, y'all. All right, y'all. Let's get into all the mess, exactly what happened, what went down, what was going on. Let's get into it, y'all. Let's go. Okay, y'all, so we're going to start with the CEO herself, Miss Natalie Nunn. Now, y'all, as I already mentioned before in the previous episodes, Natalie, she is trying her best to be, like, neutral, to be, like, you know, as they say, be in the pain. If you got an issue, step in the pain, you know, really announce your presence for real. But I think most of the ladies, they had an issue with her not stepping up as a CEO and really like setting the foundation of things. Like, it's one thing to say you're a CEO, but it's another thing to actually give boss lady when you're there in the actual scene, you know. Most of the ladies, including Natalie's friends or so-called friends, you know, the friends that she was really close with, those ladies, Scotty, Rolly, and everybody else that was close to her, most of those ladies, they believe that Natalie, she had a really bad issue with not being a friend. You can be a boss lady, but be a friend. Like, when people are getting called out, or Scotty, I know a few times she felt like she was getting jumped on, you know, by some of the other ladies at one time, and Natalie barely did anything. So it was more so of that, like, these ladies wanted to feel protected by Natalie. So as I'm watching the episode, you know, Diamond, she definitely expressed how Natalie wasn't really treating her fairly, as I already mentioned before. So Natalie, she did the boss thing to do. She apologized and she tried to make amends with Diamond. So I thought that was big of her, but I mean, knowing her, it might not last as long. So I mean, we'll see exactly how this play out, y'all, between them two. As it was already mentioned, like the OG versus new G kind of like idea that these girls want to do, that is done. So Natalie made it clear to the ladies that the OG versus new G and all that like division stuff, that's done and away with. Now, while like the ladies were fighting, Natalie was mentioning that, like, listen, y'all have all season long to hash out whatever you need to hash out, but it was just the first night. Like on episode 3, it was literally the first night, and these ladies were going ham. Like, they was literally fighting left and right. Literally almost everybody that was there in the house fought somebody, which is crazy. Like on night 1, that's crazy. Natalie, she mentions over and over again, like, listen, I'm not going to stay in the house, but you know how Natalie, she likes doing like the house meetings. So she had mentioned to the ladies that she did get a chance to talk to prior to the meeting happening, you know, listen, we cannot fight in the clubs, we cannot fight at these bookings and stuff, because we will get kicked out, you know, and nobody wants to get locked up in Africa. So yeah, hopefully these girls will listen, but I mean, we just never know. We shall see. Natalie tried her best to kind of like understand where all the beefs were, like who has problems with who and why they have beefs, why they have issues. But I feel like once she known the information, it's like once all the ladies kind of like came to that house meeting, she was kind of like pulling back some, because she knew what type of time some of those ladies were on. Like, they didn't want to do all this talking. They just wanted to like fight. And I feel like she could have did a little bit more, you know, because her and Rolly, they kind of like sat on the couches while everybody kind of like was fighting in the field and stuff. But I'm like, come on now, you as a CEO, you have to do better, because these girls cannot be in this house acting like Park 8s. I'm sorry. And then I'm glad that she was able to talk to Scotty. She mentioned that she's just tired of being tired. Like, just keep repeating herself over and over again. As far as like the OGs is concerned, like the entitlement that they have, like the cold kind of like attitude that Natalie feels like they have. She's just tired of like the dynamic her and Scotty have now. Like, they're not really as tight as how they were. So I'm glad they did have a sit down, but you just never know where it can go left, because with either of them it can go left really quickly. So I mean, we shall see where that goes. One thing I do want to mention though, as far as like her sit down with Scotty, she did mention that she's not really a fan of the new Scotty. Like, but my thing is, this is the Scotty that you've built. Like, this version, I don't want to say the Scotty, but this is the version of her that you've built. Like, you've encouraged this behavior, not even just from her, but from the other girls too. And now that the fire is now causing you to be burned, now you have a problem with it, or now you feel like you don't like this version of her. But this is the version that you've encouraged. Like, this is the version of her that you wanted her to show all along. So it's like, don't now say you don't like this version of her when you basically was encouraging it the whole time. She was saying that Scotty loves to play the victim, but I don't think it's victim. I think it's just Scotty just calling her out on not being a good friend. I don't think it's her playing the victim. But Scotty is not innocent either, because the whole fight between them two, as well as Anna, before they actually left to go to Africa, that whole link up in Atlanta, Scotty, she threw glass. Like, it just went up for everybody. Everybody was upset. Everybody was emotional. But I just feel like, well, I hope that the sit down between her and Scotty was actually genuine and sincere, because I feel like the girls, they really do love each other and they need each other. But it's like, if you're not going to be my real friend, I don't need you in my life. I don't need you to be a toxic energy in my life, because Scotty can do better without Natalie. In my opinion, she can do better without Natalie. I feel like Natalie needs to figure out how to be a better friend, because I think that's where she kind of lacks in that department. According to Nat, she feels like Scotty is constantly putting her in negative situations, which is not true. I feel like her as a CEO, like, she plays the CEO card when she wants to, but I don't think it's fair to just blame that on Scotty, because Scotty don't put you in situations. You as a CEO, you allow certain situations to happen, by bringing people's ops to the show, by like causing all these fights and stuff. And on top of that, by doing little things to create tension in the house, like switching people's name tags or doing little stuff like that. You as the boss, you have a responsibility of being a boss at all times, and also setting the stage and setting the tone of how the ladies are to respect you as well as respect each other. So I feel like Natalie could have did better. These 3 episodes right here, I give her a 7 out of 10. She really didn't bring much, but she could have did better. But I feel like her and Scotty, their dynamic could have been better. Now, Rolly, she was saying that she's just tired of all the unnecessary drama, and I cannot agree more. Like, the unnecessary fighting and the drama is getting so draining. I'm sorry, it's like really getting like, ugh, like, why are y'all fighting? Like, especially if you don't have a good reason as to why you want to beat this girl up, like, why? But Rolly, she did mention that she is proud of her friend Scotty for finally defending herself. Scotty, she has proven herself, time and time again, like, listen, I'm not just a pretty face. Like, I can defend myself. I know how to defend myself, not even just in fighting, but in my words, like in my actions, not even just the physical form of fighting, but I can defend myself in other ways. But when people call her out, she's not scared to stand for herself, which is good. Now, there was a situation that had something to do with Elsie. It was a whole thing. I'm gonna get into it, but Rolly was telling Elsie, like, listen, like, I'm gonna need you to step in the paint a little bit more. Like, I'm gonna need you to get into it, because everybody else is fighting over the situation that has something to do with you. And during the house, well, before the house meeting, or whatever you want to call it, because the house meeting is really not a meeting, y'all. It's not but Elsie was barely like trying to fight or whatever. She was barely trying to defend herself. So Rolly was letting her know, like, girl, these people are fighting for you. Like, why are you just sitting here? But Elsie, she claims that she wasn't being scared. She was just being like, overall observant, which is good. But at the same time, like, girl, this is your fight. Go and handle that. Now, after the fighting happens, y'all, Rolly, Natalie still's asking more questions and stuff. So Rolly breaks down exactly what went down with LCK. Now, while she's talking, Russian Cream jumps in, and now she wants to kind of like defend herself or add her little one too, but you can't do that when it comes to Rolly, sweetie. I'm sorry, like you can't do that. You can't do that. You're not safe. But y'all, one thing I really can say about Rolly, like throughout all 3 of the episodes that I had watched, she was like the only one that actually made it her business to get to know all of the new girls. Because I think over the previous seasons, like some of the new girls kind of felt like, pushed off to the side, like because I'm new I don't get a chance to experience the same thing that the OGs experience, but Rolly is making it her business to get to know everyone on an even playing field, making sure everybody is treated equally, and we're all having a fun time together, which is good because that's what the new girls needed. They needed to feel that mama bear, type of vibe, and I'm glad that Rolly stepped up to the plate in that area. Now, before one of their bookings, Rolly, she was giving all the new girls their props and stuff, hyping them up, asking them, listen, are y'all ready to have a good time? She's making sure that everyone feels good and feels comfortable. And that's what they needed. She also gives them like really good advice on how to manage throughout the season, like to be yourself, never change up who you are as a person, like to be whoever you want to be in this moment, like to make sure you have fun. Don't just be super serious, but to let loose, have fun. She's just giving them really good advice. Also, it was a scene where I believe it was Fauna, it was K Rican, like some of the new girls, they had a chance to sit down with Rolly to kind of like voice how they feel, as far as like Natalie not really, giving the new girls that same type of attention. And then also they were saying, they were asking basically, do Natalie give all the new girls like their time to shine, give all the new girls their space, you know what I'm saying, like their space to grow and develop. Now Rolly in response has said that she told Natalie before that she has to be more present, because you can't, which is true, because now that there's house meetings and stuff going on, you can't just pull up and then now want to ask all these questions, what's going on, what's happening. Like you have to be present, you have to be in the moment, you have to be here to actually get to know these girls, to figure out, okay, who's starting with who's being a bully, who's doing this and that. Like to really know the details as to what happened, you have to be there, you have to be supportive, you have to be in the moment. And I feel like Natalie can do much better in that department. Now Natalie, it was a point where according to Rolly, like Natalie, she used to like spend and splurge, she used to really be there financially for the new girls, but it has stopped when people was using Natalie. So that's good that she kind of like peeped that and she kind of withdrew herself. But it's sad because the new girls that are here now, they won't be able to experience that same level of treatment, that same like welcoming kind of like warm feeling, because of the past mistakes of other baddies that has used Natalie in the past, y'all. So I feel like all the girls, they deserve that equal amount of welcoming kind of like vibe. They deserve to have the whole full Baddies Africa feeling, just like how the OGs are enjoying themselves. I feel like the new girls should do the same thing. And it also stopped because Natalie was constantly being dragged into the drama of like the new girls, like what was going on. So Natalie just kind of like withdrew herself, but that's not fair for the rest of the new girls that didn't do nothing to you. So Natalie, she definitely has to do better in that department, y'all. So at one of the bookings, DTB, she had invited Anna. So the ladies are asking Rolly, like, when did Anna get there? Like, what's going on with that? Rolly didn't have much to say, but the fact that she just hopes that Anna and Natalie can sit down and really hash out their issues, because they were really once friends before, and it's just unfortunate where the ladies are. But hey, what can you do when you have somebody that's constantly disrespecting you online, constantly like saying little stuff about you, saying that they're going to take your spot, and all this clout chasing stuff that Diamond and Anna was doing, what can you do when people are constantly attacking you online and in your face, just straight up disrespecting you? So it's like Anna had to leave the show. She had to. So y'all, here's Scotty. This is one of my favorite looks from her from the season so far. I love the hair on her, and of course the outfit is tea. Now, in the beginning of 3, remember when we left off episode 2 when Lex has snuck Scotty? So episode 3 starts with that fight, and Scotty was not ready for it at all. And we already know that Scotty is not really a fighter for real, but to sneak her while she's, not even paying you any mind, that's just really whack and weird to me. Now Scotty was feeling like Natalie was really on Lex's side. She wasn't really defending Scotty for real, and Scotty really felt like while she was getting jumped by Lex, Summer, everybody else that had an issue with her. Natalie kind of like sat back and allowed that to happen. Now you already know Natalie, she does this, stop you guys, stop, she tried to get in it, she tried to separate, but is it really genuine for real? Like, or are you just doing it because the girls have a problem with you not doing it? I don't know, but Scotty, she kind of like voiced her opinion on that. Now, while the house meeting brawl, you might as well say it was a big brawl. While that was going on, Scotty was feeling the same way Rolly does, like as far as the unnecessary fighting is concerned. Like she's just completely over it. So I don't blame her, because just watching it, just being a viewer, I was like, that is crazy. Now, on their way to one of the bookings, Scotty had told some of the girls that some of the new girls in the past, they were able to come out of their shell while they were at the club. So she's excited to see like how these ladies kind of behave while they're at the booking. I think Scotty's one of her main goals that she was trying to stress to them is, let's just work together. We can have our issues, but while we're out and while we're getting this money, like we have to be cohesive. We have to work together, as a unit, as a team, basically. We can have our issues, but we cannot break these rules in Africa. So while she was talking to them, she was giving them really good advice, but I'm glad that she was able to still give them prompts and also give them like really good tips on how to be professional at the booking. So once again, you guys, as I mentioned, her and Natalie, they did have a sit down. Now, the only thing I didn't like as far as that talk was the fact that Scotty was like, remember in the first episode when they were fighting, Scotty was calling her all kinds of bees and stuff. So Scotty was saying that when she was saying that, it kind of like slipped out. How do you slip out and call your friend a bee? Like, girl, what? No way. You don't just slip out and call your friend that. So just say you felt how you felt in that moment, because she was acting like that. You wasn't being a friend for real. You was constantly disrespecting me. If Natalie felt disrespected, Scotty can very much say the same thing. But I know one thing, that did not slip out. Like, be for real, Scotty. Like, that did not slip out. Like, just say that you felt like that in that moment, but don't say it slipped out. Don't say that. Now, in the meeting between her and Nat, Scotty did admit that, hey, like, listen, I did change as a person, but you've never got to know the new me. You've never got to know the new and improved me. You just constantly put me on this pedestal and kind of like wanted me to be what you thought I should be instead of getting to know who I am, which is true, because Natalie was not trying to get to know any of her friends for real. She was just, trying to go shopping and spend and splurge with them. But it's like, do you even know them for real? Are you trying to get to know them on a deeper level? Or are you just trying to use them as your entourage as your cover up, basically? You're not really being a real friend. So she has to come up in the area. So Scotty says that, listen, like, I do want a relationship with you, Nat, but it has to be genuine. Like, are you sure you want this? Are you sure you're going to be a good friend? Are you sure you're going to change your ways? Because listen, Scotty is better than me, because I wouldn't have gave her no more chances. Like, no ma'am. And then also Capri briefly gets mentioned. Scotty, when she's talking about her dog, she gets a little emotional because her dog has really been there for her, even in her darkest moments. So when some of the ladies was kind of like questioning, the whole dog situation and the chain stuff that happened last season, Scotty gets a little emotional. But, she was saying that, listen, these ladies are going to have to deal with it. But guess what? These new ladies, they won't even have to worry about it, because Scotty, she left the dog home out of respect for everybody. So you can tell it was eating her up inside still, because her dog was her baby. So I don't know about y'all, but I am excited to see where Scotty goes this season, like who she evolves to be, in this season. Like, I want to know who the new Scotty is. I want to meet the new Scotty, because she has the potential to be that girl. She is that girl, she has the potential to really grow from this franchise, from Baddies. And, I don't want her to just stay in the same mindset of like just Baddies and I have to be Natalie's friend in order to progress with this thing. Like, I want her to really come out of her shell completely and really show us who she is, Now, Diamond DTB, I don't know. It's like her and Summer are like battling to be the most problematic, but it's like, I mean, when you invite a troll, a clout chaser back on your show. This is what happened. So between that whole fight between her and Cold Killer, before they even began a fight in like episode 3, I believe, Cold Killer is like calling her out on stealing her song. So Cold Killer believes that her and Tinka stole her song. So they kind of like fight over that. Diamond like, I don't know you, never heard of you, but Cold Killer like, girl, like at least give me my credit. Like don't act like you don't know me or you never heard of my song. But Diamond claims to not know the girl. So I mean, who knows the truth? So y'all, I thought it was really hilarious the fact that Diamond called Cold Killer a fan because right before they started fighting, Cold Killer pulled out a mouth guard, and we already know that is Diamond's go-to. Like because of the whole situation between her and Sasiki, she lost a tooth, so she's been coming with mouth guards every time she fought. So that's definitely where Cold Killer got her from. But at the same time, like listen, even professional fighters, they have mouth guards. So, I mean, who knows if she got it from Diamond or not, but I thought that was hilarious. So, Diamond goes to say, like, listen, the only reason why I'm on this show is to promote my music. Like, I'm a rapper. I'm not trying to be a reality TV star. Like, I'm not trying to do this, like, TV stuff. But it's like, technically you're both, because if you're getting booked to be like Diamond the Body from Baddies Africa, like if that's on your promo flyers and stuff when you're getting booked and stuff, I mean, yes, you're gonna rap, but that's where people know you from. Not everybody know you from other shows or other things that you've been involved in. Like this is the plug right here, Baddies Africa. Now Diamond, she was the only one who went to check up on Anna. I know some of the ladies did ask about Anna, but in the show, in one of the episodes, Diamond, she actually get a chance to meet up with Anna. So we're going to get into like, Anna's kind of like last words because she ended up leaving the show, you guys. She left. So Diamond, she went to go check up on her, which was nice. But Diamond, why would you invite Anna to Lemmy's birthday, which was one of the bookings that the ladies went to? Like, you already know Natalie dismissed this girl for a reason. So for you to now invite Anna to the booking, you already know that was going to get under Natalie's skin, and it did. But she was saying like she figured that Anna would want to celebrate Lemmy too, considering she was a baddie, and she didn't think it was anything wrong with that. But come on now, you knew it was going to get under Natalie's skin, so why? But one thing I can say about Diamond, like whatever it is that she's feeling in the moment about Natalie or about anybody, like she's not going to change up her answers. She's not going to change up how she's feeling, even though she's going the wrong way about things. You can tell like she has that star quality to her. She's just doing it the wrong way. And that's what I feel about a lot of the girls, because they have that it factor, but they're going about it the wrong way. Like the clout chasing and like the different stuff. Like you don't have to do that in order to be seen, girl. You don't. But Diamond, she brought the look, she brought the funny moments. So I mean, you can't be mad at that for so long. You can't be mad. So here's Anna, y'all. Now Anna, in her concluding kind of like statement, she was saying like, listen, she felt like her time for the show was like pretty much done, and her and Natalie's issues, they have to be resolved because they became more personal than anything. So it's a lot that two ladies have to work through. So she was saying like during her and Natalie's fight, she was surprised she even swung on Natalie because they were so close, like they were friends. So it's like it's a hurtful thing to kind of like hear and to witness. But listen, like once somebody cross you, all that friend stuff, it go out the window. Like I don't even see you as a friend no more. But it's sad that these two ladies, they did not come to a resolve. Even after meeting up at the restaurant and talking or whatever, it's like even after they do, let's say if they did come to a resolve, would it actually be resolved? Because it would be constant online drama, constant online disrespect, on both sides of the fence. So it's like it was sad that no resolve was made. But Anna, she did leave the show, you guys. She was dismissed, but her last ending statement, of course, I'm quite sure this is not the last we'll see of her, but hopefully the ladies can mend whatever it is they have to mend. Hopefully we'll see her at the reunion, but we don't know, y'all. But for now, Anna is gone. So Tavy, I've grown to like her. I've really grown to like her, even though she has a few shaky moments for episodes 3, 4, and 5. But I've grown to like her because at first I'm like, I don't know. But she had a few hit or miss moments with me. So let's get into it, y'all. So let's start with in the middle of K Rican and Elsie's fight. While those two ladies are fighting, Cold Killer feels like she wants to jump in and sneaks Elsie, right? So Tavy baby like, listen, like go ahead and get Killer. Killer wanted to jump in. You want to jump in? So no, now you gotta fight Elsie. So it's like why did Cold Killer even jump in? Like, and this is the thing with most of these ladies, like they always want to pull that card of like, no, it's bullying, no, why y'all jumping in? We don't do that jumping stuff. But it's like literally all of the ladies has jumped in somebody else's fight. They have did that. So it's like you can't say you don't want to jump or you don't want to be involved in that, but you do that. So, but Tavy baby, she made it known like, no, Elsie, get her because Killer wants to jump in. So she made it known like, listen, I'm gonna call it out for when I see it. When I see that, I'm gonna call it out. Period. So then y'all, an incident had happened before the house meeting had started. So, Tavy, she kind of like told Natalie that right after the cameras had cut, some of the ladies had jumped LCK. So she wasn't with that, and I'm with her because like the jumping stuff definitely had to stop. But she made it her business to let Natalie know what was going on. So all those ladies that had jumped LCK, which was K Rican, which was Fauna, and which was Cold Killer, Tavy baby, she fought each of them like one-on-one, all three of them, and even together, like she was not playing. Like she was one of the main ones that was really squaring up for real during the house meeting kind of like thing. But it's just crazy how Tavy baby was really like fighting on behalf of Elsie, but Elsie was like sitting, where Natalie and Rolly was, like where the couches were. Like you wasn't really trying to get in there. But this is your fight, girl. Like Tavy baby shouldn't be fighting on your behalf. But I get it, that's your friend. But it was, they were friends. But we're gonna get into it, like what happened between them two. But so far, like, I like her energy. I like the fact that she don't do like the mess. She don't do the jumping stuff. Like I like that. And I like the fact that she's not afraid to call whoever out. I love it. Now here's Fauna. So Fauna was saying like, I'm glad that Natalie is finally making it equal amongst all of the ladies because listen, we're all baddies at the end of the day. So it was an incident between Russian Cream and I think it was K Rican. So K Rican, while she was fighting, she was getting really sick. So she kind of like laid down for the evening. So Fauna was kind of like taken up for her, like in that moment, like defending her in that moment, which is what friends do. Like if my friend is sick during a fight or whatever, I'm not gonna go get her to now fight this girl again. Like no, friend, you go rest and tap me in, you know what I'm saying? But my thing is, again, if the situation had nothing to do with you, it had nothing to do with you. It's like defend your friend, but it's like you can't pick and choose when you want to jump and when you want to defend friends, and when you, it's like I feel like everybody was doing that. They was picking and choosing when they wanted to do what. Like just stand on what you stand on. Now the next morning there was another fight between LCK and K Rican, and Fauna jumped in there too. And then also she ended up getting into it with Big Lex. So you already know Big Lex is kind of like tall. So was it a fair fight? But it's like height don't matter, weight don't matter. When you disrespectful, you're disrespectful. Once you got these hands, you got these hands, and that's gonna be that. So once again, before the house meeting kind of like occurred, she was one of the girls who had a chance to talk to Natalie. Now she was saying that she felt really disrespected when Summer was just constantly mispronouncing her name on purpose. Okay, you don't know how to pronounce a girl name, but once she told you, you still wanted to be rude and still wanted to be disrespectful. So it was like, yeah, run of that. So after the meeting kind of like wrapped up, all the girls, they decided to fight again, and then Fauna was fighting Big Lex, but of course Summer and Dolly wanted to jump in. So it was like, these are the same ladies that was crying about the jumping situation in the previous season, but it's like now y'all feel like because their biggest competition is no longer in the scenario, which is Tasiki. I feel like because most of them was scared of her, period. But I feel like because Tasiki is not on the show on this season per se, now the girls are kind of like getting that extra, they have the balls to do stuff that they really wouldn't even do if Tasiki and the other girls were on the show. Now during their booking, Natalie, you know how like she gets on the mic and shout off different girls, but Natalie only called certain names and she barely even called the new girl. So Fauna felt away, which is, I would have felt away too, because listen, like if you gonna call out their names, call out us, because they were able to experience this before, but we are the new girls. Like we want to experience this too. Like we want to shout out. Now the reason why the next morning when she asked her and I believe K Rican and Cold Killer, when he was asking Rolly those questions about Natalie, now she was saying that because of the fact that Natalie did what she did on the mic, which was at the booking the previous night. So I feel like Natalie definitely has to reinforce that whole equality thing. Like if that's what you're going to stand on, if you feel like there's no OGs and new Gs and all that, if you really want to make a unified front with all these girls, make sure you reinforce that, because evidently there feels some type of way about, the favoritism. But so far, I like Fauna. I like the vibe that she gives. I like, the feistiness that she gives. And I'm excited to see her in the next episodes for sure. Okay, y'all. So next we have Cold Killer. I love this look on her, by the way. So basically, for these 3 episodes, she was really like stressing to Diamond that like, you really could have gave me my props for real, instead of you just taking my song. Like, you wasn't even trying to give credit where it was due. And I thought that was really weird. If that's true, I mean, we'll see like once more proof kind of like comes out if that's true or not. But if it is true, that's really messed up for real. So over and over again, her and Diamond kept fighting because I really don't think she's really over for real. But she just wanted to be known. Like, listen, like, I'm not gonna let you just take my song and not really give me credit for it. So I mean, I get where her frustration is coming from. Now, she made a really good point about Summer, Lex, and Dolly. So she was saying that like those 3, they think that this season they're going to do their big one, like, because they really didn't do as much, even though they did do enough. But it's like now that their threat is not there, you already know who the threat is. So all the people were scared of that particular person, Tasiki. So now that Tasiki is not on this season, they feel like they can now do the most this season. So she's over like the bullying aspect from them. She's over like the jumping and the clout chasing that they do, all that kind of stuff. She just completely over it, and I agree. Now, as I mentioned before, her and the other ladies, they kind of like mentioned, all the things that they were kind of feeling, right before the house meeting kind of started. But of course, right after that, or basically you might say during the house meeting, if you want to call it that, it was fighting going on, and her and Tavy, baby, they really got into it. But you see the size difference between her and Tavy, baby, right? So I mean, she had to do what she had to do. She used some like karate move or something, because of course she wasn't gonna win it. She was not gonna win it. But y'all, one thing I really can say about her, like, she does not bite her tongue for nobody. And I'm glad that she was able to still like get her grievances out as far as like her music was concerned, people stealing her stuff. And also like whenever other people was getting bullied, like when her friends was getting bullied or tested, like she stood in the paint right with her friends. And that's what you're supposed to do as a friend. You're not supposed to bully back, but you're supposed to defend your friend also. So far, like for me, she has been one of the most vocal as far as like the different issues in the house, and like she's not afraid to kind of like call it out, which is very good, because we don't need any scaredy cats in the house. We don't need somebody that's like so like passionate about the different stuff, about the different problems behind the scene, but when it's time to actually talk about it, like in house meetings and like group settings, stuff like that, you're kind of quiet. So I'm glad that she's very vocal about the things that's going on in the house. So that's all pretty much happened with her. Yeah, I'm excited to see like what happens as far as like her is concerned as the season go on, y'all. So here's Russian Cream. Now for these 3 episodes, y'all, we left off where her and Kay Rican was getting into it. So after they have fought or whatever, where they was going, no, Kay Rican was fighting somebody else. She wanted to fight her. So while Kay Rican was like, catching her breath and all that, like she was kind of tired for real, she wanted to fight her some more. So it was like Kay Rican then went off to her room trying to like catch her breath and all that. She like, I'm not fighting no more. Like, I can't breathe. Russian Cream is like, I don't care about none of that. She trying to bust down doors. Like, she's trying to like really fight her for real. But it's like, all that because people don't like you or people don't respect you. You don't have to bust down doors. Like, say what you want to say. If you want to fight her, but like, to bust down the doors is crazy. So the real issue came from the ladies. They were in like a group setting. They were talking about LCK like being kind of like the outsider of the house, and Kay Rican went and told LCK everything that the ladies were saying about her. So she really have a problem with Kay Rican for being like the reporter, for being the messenger. And then y'all, she ended up getting into it with Rolly because of her like kind of like call herself trying to like update Choco Brown about like what was going on as far as like production was concerned. Like, girl, and then you was giving her like false information. So like Rolly, when she heard that on the sprinter, as we already talked about, Rolly wasn't happy about that, and yeah, the two ended up getting into it. So it was just a bad look on her, because it's like, for you to be a new girl yourself, like you're just getting to know the girls, you're just getting to know like this whole process like of baddies, like you're new, basically you're new. So like for you to try to update somebody on like production, you are crossing all kind of boundaries. But I get it, it's like you're trying to be helpful, but at the same time, like, know your place and let Natalie do that job. If Natalie want to update her on what's going on with production, Natalie can do that, not you. And y'all, here's K Rican. Now, I mentioned a few things about her before, so I might want to, rehearse that again. But, as far as like the house meeting was concerned, she did feel like it was a setup because it was very much given setup. She obviously, she was really upset with Tavy Baby because she feels like she deliberately waited until the house meeting to confront her about the stuff that was going on with LCK instead of just talking to her about it, off camera or either like before, even before the house meeting. Like she had all that time to kind of like say something about it, but she waited until the house meeting once all the girls were kind of like there to address that issue. So like the next morning, her and her girls, Fauna and Cold Killer, they got together and they was kind of like recapping the whole evening, like all the stuff that was going on, like all the fights and stuff. And then the ladies were kind of like feeling like, basically the whole house is kind of like against them. Like these three are literally the hit was on the hit list, on everybody's hit list, because it seemed like everybody had an issue with them. And it's like I understand where they're coming from because it seemed like everybody literally had an issue with them. And they were new. Like they brought that fresh, fiery energy. And I feel like Dolly, Summer, and Lex brought that same energy last season. But now this season they became the bullies, and now these three girls have became like the new trio in a way. But it's like all y'all are grown women. Kill the whole trio drama, like kill it. But one thing I really do have to mention, you guys, they were saying that especially Cold Killer, she was saying like it's overwhelming trying to like prepare to fight these girls every single day. They barely got a chance to know one another. Like everybody has just been fighting everybody, and it's like that's facts. Like why all this fighting? Like y'all barely even know each other, haven't even had like a good sit down for real to kind of like get to know each other, aside from like the online drama before the show and like drama from previous seasons or whatever. It's like, come on, get to know one another. But y'all, fast forward to the brunch that they had. I believe that was episode 5. K Rican, she did update Rolly on what happened as far as Dolly snatching that microphone, and it just went up because of course Dolly, her vibe this season is just I don't like it at all. But it's like as soon as somebody mentioned her name, she just already on go. She just want to have camera time for real, and she just want to be known to be the fighter of the season. Like she's so corny and wet. She's too old to be acting like that. But K Rican, again, these girls, they are standing up for themselves, and I love it. And I'm glad the fact that they are not biting their tongues and they're not letting these girls that were here last season to dictate what they do this season, Hey y'all, I know this picture right here is crazy, but this is LCK, you guys. And to me, even though she's been in a lot of like drama thus far, I mean, she really don't bring any like wow factor to the show. Like that's just my opinion. Like she just don't bring anything special. Now, I do not agree with like some of the girls bullying her and like just coming for her, for her looks. And it was told that, well, it was said that some of the girls were like secretly talking about her and her family. They're not on the show, so like kids and like family stuff, that should be off limits. But I do feel like she has a story to tell, but so far it's not given. It's not given. But like one thing I can say about her, every time she get into it, when she get into an argument or a fight, it's taking her a while to calm down. Like once she on go, she on go. It's hard for her to calm down. Now, before the house meeting, she catch Natalie and Rolly up on what's been going on and how K Rican was caught talking about her. K Rican and other girls were caught talking about her and her family off camera, So I guess because of that, LCK, she thought it was her moment while, K Rican was fighting other people, like she fought Tavy Baby and other girls or whoever. LCK thought it was her moment to shine, and she snuck K Rican. I thought that was corny, and I thought, because you already had an issue with this girl because she was talking about your kids and your family. So like, why not fight one on one? Why you have to sneak her? But most of these girls was doing a lot of sneaking this season, like the jumping and the sneaking. They've been doing it so far every episode, and I'm just tired of it. Now she was saying there's no rules to fighting, like you just have to be prepared, which is true. But at the same time, like that's just a code. Like I'm not going to be a punk. I wouldn't have to sneak you. If I want to hit you, I want to hit you. I wouldn't have to sneak you. I wouldn't have to do that. Now fast forward, her and Tavy Baby gets into it because as she's talking to her and Russian Cream, she feels like her friends shouldn't be associating themselves with her ops, and she felt a way that Tavy Baby was still, she wasn't buddy with K Rican and the rest of them, but she felt a way that her friend, which is Tavy Baby, she felt a way that her friend was kind of like dabbing up her op. so she felt some type of way about that. And then her and Tavy Baby ended up getting into a heated argument in their room. Now, y'all put in the comments, like, how would y'all feel in that situation? Like, how would you feel if your friend or somebody that you're getting, close with, y'all might not be buddy right away, but y'all getting acquainted with each other, stuff like that. Somebody that you trust and that trusts you. Now all of a sudden you find out that same person is dabbing up your op, somebody that has beef with you. Like, I would feel a way about that, but hopefully she can move past this because it's getting, old. But I get where she coming from. Now in the argument, Tavy Baby was saying, like, listen, we are co-workers. It is okay to like dab somebody up, give them their props when it's due. I don't have to be your friend to do that. I can show you respect, period. And we can be cordial and cool because we are co-workers at the end of the day. We don't have to be best friends. But LCK, she still felt away because for you to be somebody that was fighting on my behalf, like you were showing yourself to be very loyal to me, and I was trusting you with my life at the moment. Like, if somebody's trying to fight me, or if I'm in situations where sometimes, like, I'm not gonna lie, some of those fights she caused on herself, but at the end of the day, somebody was in your corner, and all of a sudden, like, you're finding out that same person was dabbing up somebody that you had beef with. So I mean, personally, I would feel some type of way, but I wouldn't make it into an argument. Like, it is what it is. If I choose to move on without that person as my friend, then I'm gonna do that, but I'm not gonna make it a big deal. But yeah, y'all, so far she's not really doing it for me. Like I said, I'm quite sure she has a story to tell, because every time she gets into it, in a fight or argument, like, she started crying, and she's real passionate about what she's talking about. So you can tell it's a story behind this whole, like, personality, persona that she's trying to portray. But I need to see what's going on with her, like, in more detail, because right now it's not given. I'm sorry. Now this picture is crazy too, because she looked like she do not play, y'all, and she do not play. Now Ivory is one of my favorites. She was one of my favorites last season, and now this season I like the fact that she's becoming more herself. Like, this season, like, she's showing that softer side of her, but also, like, she's making it known that, listen, I'm not a bully, but if you try me, I have what you're looking for, so I'm gonna give it to you. And I like that. I like the fact that just because she got hands, she's not just swinging on anybody. It's only the people that's really trying her and really testing her patience, then she really, like, show you who she is. But I like the fact that the people that really don't really fight for real, or if they don't fight really good, like, Ivory is now taking the time out to teach them, like, give them little tips and stuff on how to fight better, how to defend themselves better, which is good. I think more and more she is proving herself to be like a girl's girl, like, whatever the girls need, like, if they need somebody to kind of like vent to, she's there. And I like that, because I feel like in a house it can be very intimidating being in a house with somebody that is just known to be a good fighter, and, like, we don't want to make that person angry, we don't want to make that person upset, but she's showing her softer side, and she's showing them, like, hey, like, I'm not a monster, like, I can be your friend, we can be cool, we can be cordial, like, I'm a girl's girl, like, but don't try me now, don't try me. But she's showing them that, like, listen, like, I'm here. And then even during the fights, like, she's encouraging them, like, get her down again, even though that could be a hit or miss, because, not gonna lie, the instigating stuff, it can backfire, it can, but I see why she did it, because some people, they need that encouragement, and then also, like, the different beats and stuff that was in the house, like, she tried her best to kind of like mend the different people together. And then even when it came down to her issue with Dolly, like, they finally sat down and kind of like talked it out, but she found out later on that Dolly was talking about her on the Sprinter on, I believe that was the first episode. So I don't know if she's going to still be cool with Dolly, but I'm gonna keep watching and tune in to make sure that, like, I'll let y'all know if that changes or not. But she did get a chance to kind of like squash everything with Dolly, so we'll see how that goes. Now, y'all, here's Pretty P. By the way, I love this hair on her. I love it so much. I love the color. Now, Pretty P, she, once again, she wasn't really like making her presence known these episodes, but as far as like her issue with Summer throwing her stuff in water, she still wants that from Summer. Like, even though Natalie replaced it with something much better, she still wants that with Summer, and I don't blame her at all. Now, it was funny because she was like, Summer, you choose where you want to be dumped at. You want to be dumped over here? Like, she not playing. Like, Summer can apologize and be cutesy all she want, but pre-piece, she still want that. So, I want to see if she really going to handle that for real, even though we all know she can, but I don't know if she going to give her grace, give Summer grace, or if she really going to handle that. And here is Summer, none other, y'all. So Summer, the jumping stuff, it has never stopped with this girl, and she finally gets called out on it by Ivory. Ivory called her out about always jumping in and always inserting herself when nobody asked her to. This girl have never stopped the jumping stuff. Not matter if she's gonna lose an eye, if she's gonna get a black eye, if she's gonna have a busted lip, whatever. She's just not gonna stop. She's not gonna stop. So I feel all the jumping stuff is never gonna stop. So she just needs to be next off the show. I don't think she needs any more camera time. So if I'm going to get off the show, she needs to get off the show. It's just that simple. And then especially after what she has said, and I'm not even going to repeat it, but we all know what the girl said, okay? So, just that ignorant comment that she made alone really warrants her not being on the show anymore. But, they feel like if she's good TV, she's good TV. But it's not always about the ratings. It's called being integral, whoever the owner is, because that's been kind of up in the air. But Lemmy, whoever, Natalie, y'all know what y'all have to do. She should not be on the show, period. Now at the house meeting, y'all, she wanted to fight K Rican one more time. Mind you, it was kind of quiet. Everybody kind of sat around. Natalie was giving them a little, summary of what's going on, a little recap, the previous night of what she heard, but also what's about to happen, because they was getting ready to go to another booking. So before they had left to go get ready, Summer, she wanted to fight one more time, and that's when everybody wants to start fighting. So everybody started fighting, and it was just up, period. It was just up. Now, you guys, towards the end of episode 5, I believe, it was a little a warning, kind of a caution kind of thing. It was on the screen when I was reading. It was saying that Summer ended up getting into an altercation with one of the Zeus security guards. So she ended up getting injured pretty badly. So she was unable to be on the show for the next few episodes. So, which is sad, because it should have never got to that point. It's it's one thing to be fighting these girls back. You want to just overprove yourself. You want to do the most, but you getting into it with the security guard. I mean, come on now. Yes, he's a man and he's absolutely wrong for putting his hands on you, but you cannot provoke people. Now, we don't know what exactly happened, so I'm gonna do my research to see what exactly happened in that scenario. But he kind of should have held his peace a little bit more, but she needs to hold hers as well. So, y'all, if she gets back on the show, she does. If not, hey. But I just feel this girl, her time is up. It's up. And I'm surprised they even brought her back for another season, because even though they might think she's good TV, and even though she's small, she might not win every fight, she keeps going strong, which is good. But at the same time, it's not always good to constantly want a fight just to prove yourself. We know who you are. But y'all, we shall see if things turn around, even though I know it's not, but we'll see, y'all. We'll see. Now, y'all, I've mentioned a few things about Dolly in the previous recaps of the other ladies, but one thing I could say about Dolly, she has definitely changed, and not in a good way. She has definitely changed, because she was one of my favorites last season, but this season it's a whole new, I don't know what it is. And I mentioned before, the bullying and the every time I turn around you want to fight somebody, it's just it's getting tired, it's getting redundant. It's just too much. Me personally, I mentioned before, I feel she's trying to overcompensate, because Tasiki was her biggest competitor last season, and now that she's not on the show for this season, now you feel you have to do the most. But I just don't agree with the whole trio stuff that she's trying to push. That whole narrative is just so corny to me. It's you too old to be acting like that. Come on, really? Trio? Then she had the audacity to say K Rican, Fauna, and Cold Killer could never be the trio. They're the original trio. It's that whole narrative that she's trying to push is just so whack to me. So whack. She snatched the mic from K Rican. She was just doing the most, trying to fight. It's you're trying to overcompensate for what? It's you're doing too much. She really is doing too much, y'all. And then at the brunch front you guys, she was very, very defensive. Very defensive. When K Rican kind of like expressed to Rolly what was going on, Dolly was very defensive because she knows she was wrong for what she did. So y'all, the episode ends where Fonda is kind of like updating Scotty on what happened, and Dolly doesn't like it. So of course her and Fonda gets into it. Food is getting tossed, and then it became a whole big food fight. So like it just went up. Food was everywhere, eggs, bacon, all that. Whatever they had, it was on the floor, all over the table, all that. So Dolly, I think she's another one that has to go. I think for next season, if Natalie wants to do another season for Baddies, these ladies that are just so problematic, you may think they're good for TV, but they're not good for your image and your brand. And the brand you're trying to create for these women, the platform you're trying to build, these ladies are not good for that platform. So she gotta go. And finally, y'all, here is Big Lex, the last and final lady. Now, she's been trying to call out for Scotty for the longest time. Like, she's been calling Scotty out. But the only thing is, when she finally had a chance to fight her, she snuck her. So it was like, girl, why? Like, why? One thing I can say about Big Lex though, like this season, she is trying to stay mutual amongst the girls, like amongst her friends versus K Rican, Cold Killer, and Fauna. Like she's trying to stay mutual and be cool with everybody, but at the end of the day, she has her girls back. But it was one scene where her and Fauna, they ended up getting into it. They were fighting, hair was being pulled and all that, and then they fought again at the house meeting. So it was just a lot of like fighting. But I feel like Big Lex, at least she might have been the only one that was at least trying to stay mutual, besides Rolly, because Rolly was doing a good job with being like the mama bear of the group. But Big Lex was like right after Rolly because she was just trying to remain mutual amongst the group, period. But like back to like the whole sneaking Scotty stuff, what do y'all think about that? Because I know y'all have seen the episode by now. I know like I've seen like a lot of comments online as far as that was concerned, but I don't think it was warranted at all. Even though you may think that somebody's getting on your nerves, or they might have said or did something that you didn't agree with, it's never warranted that. Especially you're a grown woman. Like, come on, why? And then here it is, Scotty is not really a fighter, so like you wouldn't be sneaking a big dog, like somebody that's really a fighter for real. Like you wouldn't be sneaking them. So it was like the sneaking and the jumping and all that stuff. It has to go. It has to go. You can't say you a good fighter. You this and you that. It's like, but you sneaking and you're jumping and you're doing stuff that great fighters and great defenders wouldn't do. So it's like, what are you? But it's good that you're trying to stay mutual, but it's like at the same time, the sneaking and jumping and stuff that Summer and Dolly and everybody else is on, they gotta stop it. They gotta kill that. But I'm excited to see if she's gonna stay mutual, or her and Fauna already kind of fought, but we shall see exactly what's going to happen like as the episodes progress. But I don't know, Lex was also one of my favorites last season, but not anymore, y'all, not anymore. But we shall see. The season is not over yet. It's only episode 6 just recently dropped, so it's only it's only the first few episodes, so we shall see, y'all. And that was pretty much it, you guys, for this recap for episodes 3, 4, and 5. And as always, we got a chance to kind of like get like a little sneak peek as to what happened in episode 6, y'all. So in episode 6, you guys, we finally get a chance to meet Choco Brown, which is another African queen. She's going to be joining the ladies, and the ladies, everybody including her, they all go to a safari, which is amazing because they get to see another side of Africa. Now when Choco Brown was saying like I'm the real African queen and all that, of course Elsie felt some type of way. So them two, it was kind of like beef from the start. Then we had a chance to see Natalie and Diamond. They finally had a sit down about like why DTB brought Anna to the booking, even though Natalie really want to cut ties with Anna. So I thought that was sneaky, but at least the two finally had a sit down about that. So y'all, right after the safari, Natalie get all the girls together in like a circle to kind of give a recap on what happened, like asking ladies to have a good time, stuff like that, and then saying that they're gonna have a booking later on that night. Now Rolly, she decides to say, oh, I have something to say, like, listen, I'm not really feeling you, Russian cream. Like, she calls her out straight up. And I was like, uh-oh, this can really go left really fast. So then of course the two ladies began to argue, and then they actually fought. So wasn't a good look, y'all. Then we had got like a little sneak peek of Diamond fighting Dolly and Choco Brown. So we don't really know exactly what's going on in that episode, like in that scene of the episode. But I mean, we're going to get into it once I watch episode 6, y'all. And then y'all, Rolly, at the booking, Rolly, she had a chance to go on the mic, and while Diamond was performing her song right after, Rolly, she got the mic and was saying that like Cold Killer, they have the same song. She was throwing a little, playful shade, but I don't think Cold Killer was like hee and ha about that. So, because she was still mad about that. So, if I was Rolly, I wouldn't trying to be somebody's mama bear, and then at the same time, at a booking, you trying to throw low key shade. So it's like pick and choose. Are you cool with her or are you not? And then the sneak peek ends with Tavy Baby and LCK getting into it, and I think LCK is still pressed that she is kind of like dabbing up her ops, like. I mean, I would still feel away too, but like after you had a conversation with that person, they still don't see they're wrong in it. You can't fight them to make them see it, because even after the fight, they still not going to see it, and they still going to believe that they was right and you was wrong. So it was like it was really pointless for real. But we shall see like where exactly that kind of like goes. But I knew it was kind of like doomed from the beginning, because they kind of like clicked up too fast for me. They did. They clicked up too fast. But this is what happens when you fight on people's behalf, because guess what? That very same person that's fighting on your behalf can possibly turn on you, and that's how she's kind of feeling. But, we'll see as the episodes go along. And that's the end of this recap, y'all, for Baddies Africa episodes 3, 4, and 5, y'all. So I hope y'all been enjoying these recaps. Yes, I'm going to catch up. I believe it's on 7 now, y'all. So I have to watch 6, and then I'm going to do 7 as it drops, y'all. So I'm gonna catch up, do all that, woo, and then we're gonna talk about it, you guys. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to your girl's channel. As always, put on that post notification bell so that way you are notified every time your girl uploads another video just like this one, y'all. So I love you guys so much, and I will see y'all in the next video, y'all. Peace out. Mwah.